The New World Order, Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Check this out though. Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks. The dude's actually been in the Ecuadorian embassy for 7 years up until past 11th of April, where he was actually seized by London police and put in the jail. And now he's serving 50 weeks in jail for skipping bail back in 2012, right? So mind you, he was in the Ecuadorian embassy because he was trying not to get extradited to the United States because he know they wanted off with his head. But basically taking these documents that was leaked by then Army whistleblower Chelsea Bradley Manning, who's currently Chelsea Manning or whatever, and basically leaking that information out, showing U.S. war crimes in Iraq. Well, it turns out that he was also trying to escape extradition to Sweden because they had him on a sexual assault charge that prosecutors actually dropped in 2017, but now they are reopening that. Green Wall and graduation. Quote of the New World Order, Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Check this out though. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is actually supposed to go out to Russia, Moscow today, to actually talk about who knows what. Most likely the things that come to mind for me are Venezuela and Iran actually. But instead they rerouted this trip, him and the State Department. They actually decided to go to Europe to talk with top officials about recent threatening actions from Iran. Now, let's put all of this in context. First off, Donald Trump actually took the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal that was supposed to quell any inclination towards nuclear war between two nuclear powers, us and them, and all of that, or multiple nuclear powers too, because other France and Germany, for example, were a part of it, and the UK. But the European Union as a whole, they're actually for the nuclear deal. So, who knows what those talks are going to do. But the State Department still decided to ramp up our presence militarily out near Iran. So they sent more bombers and a carrier out to the Persian Gulf, which actually sits between Iran and Saudi Arabia. So it seems like more provocative action from us. Green Wall and graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, I just told y'all about the Persian Gulf. Depending on what order you see this, you might not have caught it, but the U.S. already kind of upped its presence over there in the Persian Gulf, adding a carrier and some bombers out there. And the Persian Gulf actually sits between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So it seems like it's a provoking move towards Iran. But check this out though. There was actually a couple of vessels that were supposed to take oil from Saudi Arabia and actually bring it to the U.S. and they were actually attacked, sabotaged. Now, reportedly there were no oil spills, no casualties, but the vessels were damaged. And obviously people are suspecting that Iran has something to do with it. So, we'll see what happens, man. Green Wall and graduation, you know the shit. The Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN Report. So back in 1990, they had the Basel Convention, and it actually brought about a treaty that 183 countries had actually signed on to, plus the European Union. So that adds more countries. I believe it brings the total to about 187, 89, I forget, whatever. Today is 187 countries that have actually signed on to this. The U.S. has not signed on to this. Now, if you look at the EPA website or whatever, they'll tell you that there was legislation that needed to be put in play in order for the U.S. to officially ratify, even though in public they did support it. But that it just hasn't happened since 1990, and it's definitely not happening under this administration. Let's keep it a stat. But plastics has actually been added onto this treaty. Now, the treaty is designed to keep rich countries from dumping all of their trash into these poor countries or whatever, and supposed to stop pollution in general. So the adding of plastic is a pretty big deal. The United Nations suspects that there's 100 million tons of plastic in the oceans around the world. We'll see how this pans out. Green Wall and graduation. We'll do the Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN Report. So check this out though. Over on Fox News, you had White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow that actually admitted and contradicted President Trump's statement on saying that these tariffs that are imposed on Chinese goods are actually be mostly paid for by China. Larry Kudlow was on Fox News actually being asked by Chris Wallace about this, saying that, mostly U.S. businesses and taxpayers are paid, right? And he basically said, yeah, that's to some extent, I don't disagree with that. Now, keep this in mind that Trump has been boasting about his, economic policies and trade deals, and especially a lot of crackers that voted for him always tout his business acumen as a reason that he should be at the helm of this country. But the reality is, this is a big deal, and it's going to end up having us pay. Now, on the grand scheme of things, there's this economic tactic called protectionism that y'all might want to look up that this actually falls under, but it's not necessarily necessary, is it? Green Wall and graduation. We will do the Bishop Grady laying on what the fuck going on for this BFN report. So Donald Trump actually has, I won't blame him personally, but $1.5 billion has actually been diverted from the military towards the building of this wall. And because we're still in a national emergency, technically, which a lot of people are forgetting about, you don't really hear news outlets talking about it or whatever, expect to see shit like this happen. This $1.5 billion is actually supposed to go towards the Afghan Security Forces Fund, a Chemical Weapons Convention Fund, and some Air Force funds or whatever. Now, keep in mind that on the imperialistic side of the U.S. foreign policy, we're actually trying to like take over the globe damn near. You know what I'm saying? We want to be here, we want to be there, we want to be everywhere. And so those resources are needed, but nevertheless, 1.5 is going to go towards this wall. But fuck all that though. Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. You know what I'm saying? Like Puerto Rico is still fucked up. Like, where's our priorities? Green Wall and graduation. We'll go to Bishop Grady laying out what the fuck going on for this BFN report. So over in Afghanistan, Mina Mango, or Mango, M-A-N-G-A-L. I don't know how they would pronounce it out there, but unfortunately she was shot dead. 2 gunmen actually killed her in Kabul yesterday while she was on her way to work. So see, Shorty was actually a prominent broadcast journalist, and she was a government advisor. She worked on the Afghan Cultural Affairs Commission, and while she was on her way to job, she was actually shot dead. And she had been posting on social media talking about how she was receiving death threats. So, you know, it's just letting you know this happened in Kabul. That's the capital. So other shit has popped off there. Like, for example, not in Kabul, but, you know, in Afghanistan, whatever shit's been going down, where in Bagland, I told y'all last week about how police headquarters had got shot up. And they actually say that by the Taliban, they actually said that they put the clamps and found the person that actually orchestrated those attacks, the chief intelligence person over those attacks. So, you know, we'll see how this pans out, man. What's the U.S. going to do? They've been the ones in peace talks with the Taliban. Green Wall and graduation. We support the New World Order Bishop Grady laying out what the fuck going on for this BFN report. This past Saturday over in Pakistan, it was actually in the port city of Gwadar. A luxury hotel had its employees and actually one officer that was actually killed in an attack. So this attack was actually said to have been claimed by the Baloch Liberation Group. Baloch is B-A-L-O-C-H. Basically a separatist group, and you know, that lets you know what's going down in Pakistan. Pakistan being out there, you actually could say it's more so Asia than it is in the Middle East. But, you know, depending on how you all looking at it, we are from the cradle on some level. But at least people with from fucking melanin and some soul, you know what I mean? But that's a whole nother thing. That's what's happening, man. Fucked up. Green Wall and graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady laying on what the fuck going on for this BFN report now. Over in Burkina Faso, it's like in, you can say Central Africa or whatever. Basically, it's hot as a bitch, man. Check this out. Over in the city of Dablo, which is said to be like 120 miles away from Ouagadougou, which is the capital of Burkina Faso. There was actually an attack on the congregants of a Roman Catholic church. Now, they were having mass, and then 20 men came and actually surrounded the congregants as they were leaving and shot and killed 6 people, including the priest. You know what I'm saying? So that lets you know how a lot of people, I wonder if it has anything to do with the worldwide rise in sexual assault allegations brought on by the priests of the Catholic Church, or if it's just plain old them trying to root out white supremacy. But it's been a rise of extremist militias actually doing murders over there since 2017. So that's what's happening. Green Wall and graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN report. According to the International Organization of Migrants, there has actually been 2,300 people dead or missing from last year alone trying to cross the Mediterranean. Basically trying to get from Africa to Europe. Now, keep this in mind as I say, this past Friday, actually, a boat had a bunch of migrants, had like 75 migrants actually filled with water and then capsized, killing 65 people. So that's a pretty big fucking deal, as you can imagine. These people came from all over Libya, Bangladesh, Morocco, and other several sub-Saharan African countries. So people are just dying for their freedom. But the United Nations is warning that, they've actually reported the number dead, but actually warning that, this while people are desperate to make the trip, it's an extremely dangerous trip. Green wall and graduation. We'll do the Bishop Grady laying over what the fuck going on for this BFN report. I keep telling y'all about what's going on over in between at the separation barriers between Israel and Palestine, and the Palestinians have still been taking part in the Great March of Return, these weekly protests where they've been basically protesting the illegal occupation of Israel in that area. So it's there, Gaza and all of that, whatever. But basically this past Friday there was another person killed, a 24-year-old Abdullah, I believe Abdullah, I think that's his name, something like that. His name's not important. This not in this context of what I'm talking about. It's unfortunate that yet another person has to die from this shit, and also 30 people were injured. And then mind you, this comes from like even last. This is another week. This is a weekend after there was actually a clash between the Palestinians and Israel that left 30 dead and 30 Palestinians dead and 4 Israelis dead. Or they was, even just bombing each other back and forth, whatever. So they had a fragile ceasefire, and now you see how fragile that shit is. Green war and graduation. We'll do the Bishop Grady laying on what the fuck going on for this BFN report. The United Nations is warning that actually 1,700 Palestinians may have to undergo leg amputations. Why is this? Well, I've been telling y'all about the Great March of Return protest. Palestinians going to the separation border between Israel and Palestine or whatever, basically protesting the illegal occupation of Israel over there, right? Now check this out. This is actually there have been 29, the UN is reporting, there have been 29,000 Palestinians injured. I've been telling y'all about who's been getting killed. But think about the injuries. And out of these injuries, 7,000 of these Palestinians have actually been shot in the leg. And there's so much need for like reconstruction of the medical infrastructure over there. They need $20 million in order to be able to handle some of these some of these situations that need to be taken in order to save people's legs and prevent amputations and whatnot. So that's what's happening, man. It's unfortunate. It's fucked up, really. Green war graduation. The new will do the Bishop Grady laying on what the fuck going on for this BFN report. So the House Ways and Means Committee, that's actually headed by House of Representatives member Jerry Nadler. This is the people that have actually been trying to get a hold of Trump's information. They actually requested from the IRS to have Trump's taxes for the past several years for their what they see as legitimate reasons. I definitely see them as legitimate reasons, because basically what's been coming up from these testimonies that have been taking place in front of Congress, it seems that Trump is seriously in debt and could likely be making moves from behind the desk of the White House that is jeopardizing the country, but he's using to settle debts and all of that, whatever. So they want to check out in these tax returns, which Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, actually refused to give. The Treasury Department refused to give. So now they subpoena for them shit. So now if they don't comply now, it's gonna go to the court. Green war and graduation. We will do the Bishop Grady laying on what the fuck going on for this BFN report. So the House of Representatives in the United States, they actually approved of a relief bill that would actually be for Puerto Rico to receive $19 billion. Included in this bill is $600 million allocated toward nutritional assistance, which Democrats have already argued is actually too low. But the democratically run House of Representatives, they obviously have to make concessions because even this bill, even with this being passed, it has to run through Senate, and the Senate is run by mostly Republicans. So we already know what type of time they on. Trump has repeatedly lashed out about Puerto Rican officials misusing their funds and all of that, so that's why he wanted to stop giving them assistance. But a lot of that is bullshit, you know what I'm saying? As far as the facts that are out there. So do the research yourself. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me how. Green war and graduation. We will do the Bishop Grady laying on what the fuck going on for this BFN report. So over in Georgia, actually, now mind you, I told y'all last week about how they passed the law. Brian Kemp, bitch ass, actually passed the law, basically signed into law a draconian abortion bill that basically makes it illegal, a Class A felony, punishable up to 99 years, to have an abortion anywhere after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Now, for a lot of people who've been pregnant before, you'll know that Yo, 6 weeks ain't shit. You could see somebody at 6 weeks and not even know they're pregnant. They still got their abs intact and everything or whatever. They call it the fetal heartbeat law because that's when you're supposed to be able to feel a heartbeat. So I said 6 weeks, but really it's about the heartbeat. As soon as you can feel a heartbeat, which happens like, as early as 6 weeks. So Hollywood actors and production companies are all in protest of it, basically saying we're taking our studios out there or whatever. Even Jordan Peele, shout out to him, pledged 100% of his fees towards like the Georgia ACLU and another organization down there. So, keep the fight alive. Green Wall and graduation. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN report. May 31st, 1921, over in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a white mob came into the area known as Greenwood and actually burnt that bitch alive, destroyed it completely, killed almost 300 people, most of them black. This area was formerly known as Black Wall Street. Now, the hip hop community knows about Black Wall Street because when The Game, popular California rapper, came onto the scene or whatever, his clique was named Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? Props to The Game for that. Also, there's an Instagram page known as Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to them. Black Fox News follows them or whatever. So, they give them a look. But this was a prominent black community. The white mob was said to have gone and destroyed this because they believed a white elevator operator was actually assaulted by a black man from that town. But we know it's because they just wanted to see the motherfuckers burn because they was doing their thing. Nevertheless, today, Tulsa officials have actually decided to form a committee to dig up the mass graves from that massacre. Green Wall and graduation.